it's not just for politics of it, but we are shaping the minds, trying to educate people. Sabe bit me take governance. I say in the context, a bit me situated this country. Na yet me achieve the kind of dividend as of mine. Nina whole essence and they say you bet me away economic freedom, not just for but for young generation yet to come. Sabaya or mine number no ebenya so mfaso amomo. But very often all that surround upon our political landscape now tear some of the conversation. People you have so much respect for, sometimes you draw back because you begin to ask yourself, so on my you see a democracy, a fledgling democracy. Yeah, try to be able to reposition you want to be globally, able to be competitive, a force to reckon with, if nothing at all within the sub-region. And people who are leading the conversation, the bigger conversation, a driver policy, a shaping minds, and they dictate the pace of our politics. And sometimes when they speak, you find the intellectual weakness, the poverty of intellect that they live in their wake. And sometimes, are so shocking and so frightening. And what in China, as a young person, expecting that things will go the way you expect them to go. I find your marking NPP chief, your friend saying, Chief Justice, this whole petition removal. In the first place, this is a political party, MP, no, ASU president. Say the mandate our exercise in the petition, idea man no, unconstitutional, and one breath, Ujina court baby. On the second breath, the same political party is staging a press conference and saying a whole lot of stuff. The good question is, when did the MPP become the spokesperson for the Chief Justice? And again, Nipana President Mahama Baya were you mono, not just Chief Justice. Then saying you're gonna start stick ahead. There are several other individuals. So why don't you bundle all these people together and as I will speak for them or speak for them? Why Chief Justice? It means you have a peculiar interest. And the question now press conference and all cannot say. President Mahama per se or uniform or familiar person or a sympathizer of the NBC. So does it mean that Kufuor may not buy no a sympathizer of MPP? You see, these are people they just talk cheaply, loosely without thinking because you're a very smart and very sensible person and you're making such comments in public. You'll be guided by some of these things because are you saying say Nipana Akufo Addo buy a mameno or MPP into modern buy? Is she a sympathizer of the MPP? Is the reason why you are fighting for her today? You see, this whole process, beginning with the court, it's a foolish undertaking, because the constitution now frames, when they frame the constitution, they realize in the exercise of their duty, at any point in time, anybody can go rogue. Rogue means you veer off. And I'm saying position now occupied a very sensitive, constitutional framers deliberately created a window. Say when such a situation arises, then a window is created for the removal of the Chief Justice. That power is not vested in the president. That is the first point that we need to make. The power to remove Chief Justice, to begin with, that power is not vested in the president. It is vested in the people of this country who feel dissatisfied. And I said they are in direct contravention. I will establish rules of engagement. Write a petition and send it to the president. The president becomes just a conveying belt. Or the petitioner, you forward to Council of State to establish merit, credence, and as a value in this particular way. The president court because at that point, my money here. Now say even that particular call was premature, even from the Chief Justice, because at the point, president engaged Council of State, that particular process. My culture say no adverse funding at any point in time can be advanced against the Chief Justice. So at that point, you don't even need to hear her. But for the president to go ahead, now all man requirement 10 days on far response. At that time, not sure the president himself has been kind enough to the woman because I was against the fact that President Mano the opportunity to be heard at that point. Going committee level at that point, the whole essence is petition use a meet threshold. Council of State is not it's not a discretionary something. That particular thing is a constitutional injunction on the president just to send a thing to the Council of State. Council of State and your adjudication body. All that they are clothed with the power and they say, yeah, just a meaty threshold, say, a fete, I bet me calling the petition. At that point, no. And that's more established that then we go to a committee level where a committee in that panel is an adjudicatory panel. Okay. At that point, the woman must be heard because the principles of natural justice actually say the accused must be heard. Yeah. And at that point, constitutional crime insists say at that point the Chief Justice must be heard either in person or through her counsel. Okay. It's explicitly clear in the Constitution. And we are MP. Now you say you are just clutching at straws. Not a party no lose badly. They have bad faith. People don't believe in them. They think that the numbers they have in parliament is so useless that they can't use it to advance any conversation. All that you need to do is to shout aloud so that your voices will be heard. So we had the NPP after the elections now. And they go there to stage press conference. Others in fear no more draw. We fear no more draw. Abrante yes, no more draw fear like solidarity that is what they are doing because they have no relevance in this modern political dispensation. So they're just clutching at straws, fixating on irrelevant issues just to be relevant. It's the reason why you see all this thing, because in the first place, this whole court proceeding is a foolish undertaking. It doesn't make sense because constitution processes that must be followed in case we want to remove the Chief Justice. President Muhammad Nasari also Chief Justice. Ghana in the petition and the president is going directly with the provisions. The constitution, that is what he's doing. And for me, he has been even kind by listening to the Chief Justice at the early stage. Okay. But our country at that early stage, in the process, it's not an adversarial process. Anything can be advanced against Chief Justice. You need to hear her voice. You establish a credence. We are now move to next stage. At that point, we can sit and then today, after your marking of all people on the NPP sit behind cameras. And they try to portray, say, they care so much about Ghana to the extent, say, so mama Ghana will break. And I'm saying, say, these are a bunch of jokers who should never be taken serious. Because we were in this country when series barrages of foolish decisions, barrages of foolish executive decisions, and the consequences in here so overriding and so overreaching. Say, baby, Ghana generally. When the president was taking these decisions, where were they? We were out there on the street on a daily basis. Some of us were deemed enemies of the state. Almost anti-government, your friends say, enthusiasts. Always on TV. Naysayers. President Akufo-Addo say Sambala to say exactly. All sort of unholy descriptions were attributed to us because we wanted them to do things right. These were the very people who were leading this country on a foolish course. Today, all of a sudden, after you have been embarrassed so badly, you turn around, come and tell us that you care so much about Ghana. Did you care about Ghana at the time? Ghana seeker $58 million. We sat here, we told you that was a foolish enterprise. Don't push our money in. They went ahead and $58 million in their court. Few months after losing the election, you are trying to portray, say, you care so much, you love so. I think you see, these are a bunch of loose cannons hanging on politics. We should forget about them. All that they are trying to do is to sway the cause, shift focus, shift attention on them so that they become relevant in this political.
Thank you.